Welcome to the July-August episode of Access SCC. In this episode, we'll bring you the latest news and updates happening around SCC.
Also, if you missed out on our last edition of Producers Club, we'll recap the presentation from Troy Parkinson, Director of Production at MN Film and TV.
Lastly, we'll get familiar with all things SCC with a promo video about our new orientation session. Stay tuned, Access SCC starts right now.
We want to kick off this episode by introducing our new public access assistant, Brandon. Brandon, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm born and raised right here in Minnesota. I have lived all over the state, and I kind of enjoy skateboarding, camping, really anything outdoors.
So how many years of experience do you have in this field?
Well, I've been making videos for about 5 years, and I've been working in television for 4 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And what made you want to get into film and television production?
I was a skateboarder in high school, and me and my buddies filmed each other, and that sort of sparked my interest. And I'm really interested in creative problem solving, so that kind of fed into it as well, because filmmaking and creative problem solving kind of go hand in hand.
So do you have any previous experience with public access community television?
Yes, my first job was at the public access station in Cloquet, Minnesota. I started there in my senior year of high school, and I worked there for about a year, and then moved down to the cities for college. And I've been down here for most of the time since. I did move back for a short period of time and worked there for a couple of months again, but that's it.
Cool. And what are you enjoying most about your job here at SCC so far?
I'm enjoying getting to know all the producers and their shows. I've enjoyed a lot of the opportunities that working here has already presented, so it's been pretty fun.
Is there anything you're looking forward to in the coming months at SCC?
I'm really looking forward to like the awards ceremony and the picnic.
Cool. Any fun facts that we need to know about you? What's your deepest, darkest secret?
Yeah, I don't know if I need to tell that one, but I don't know, man. I didn't come up with any.
That's cool.
Well, you did make a segment about yourself to kind of introduce yourself to the community here, so let's take a look at that.
Hey, can I get your help quick?
Yeah, sure.
So summer and fall is some of our busiest times around here at SCC. We got a ton of stuff going on, including more parades coming up yet this summer. We did 2 of them in June. Now coming up July 15th, we got the White Bear Ave Parade, which is a big one. Vadnais Heights Parade is on August 16th, and then we have the Grant Parade on September 12th, which will be fun. We're always looking for extra help with that from our volunteers to come out and hand out goodies and mingle with the crowd and everything like that. It's usually a lot of fun. So.
Yeah, and don't forget Thursday, August 13th, there's the SCC picnic in the SCC backyard. You can meet with other producers. We have food, games. There's an open mic night live, so should be pretty fun.
Yes, and we still yet have another event coming up Thursday, October 1st at Kellerman's Event Center in White Bear Lake. We have scheduled our SCC Awards, so that's really exciting. There's a couple parts of that to remember, that if you want to be eligible to get an award, you have to turn in your paperwork between July 6th and August 1st with your file. And then remember to RSVP for the event, and that should be really fun. Ted will have more info on that. But for now, let's look at some promos for these events.
My name is Lisa. I am here at the 2012 SCC Volunteer Picnic, having a blast. It is a gorgeous day, a little bit of wind, keeping it nice and cool. Picnics rock. It's always a good time to get together, see people, eat some grub. And SCC always throws down an awesome spread. And you know, if you've never been to Suburban Community Channels, which is your local cable community channel thingy-majiggy, you should stop by.
Hey, this is a wonderful SCC picnic. It's my second one I've been to. It's always a good time. The weather is just beautiful, and it's fun to enjoy the company, all the fellow producers and the staff members.
Well, for this nice Thursday afternoon, 74 degrees, gentle breeze, we have this wonderful appreciation picnic of all the producers and staff. Couldn't ask for a better afternoon. And you know, it's always appreciated that we have these little get-togethers and let people meet each other and talk about their shows and what's going on in general. So I'm glad that Suburban Community Channels takes the time to do this. I don't believe some of the other community channels have quite this level of involvement. So it says a lot about Suburban Community Channels.
I don't know why there isn't more people here, because you're missing out on a really good time, really nice people, and a nice backyard, and some volleyball, and some, what else you got here? Boy, I have to find out, but I'm gonna get involved and find out. So come on down and get involved with the Suburban Community Channel group, and we'd love to see your shows, and we'd love to see what you can do.
So almost every episode of Access, we talk about opportunities we have here at SCC for youth to get involved in film and television production, because we really do have a lot of great opportunities, and our Explorers program is no exception.
Yeah, exactly. This fall, our Exploring program is starting up again for another great year. Our open house is Tuesday, September 22nd at 7 o'clock, right in this room. And it'll be a great opportunity for anyone who's interested. It's open to teenagers from 14 all the way up to 20. Anyone who's interested in making films, making television. It's a year-long program. It runs from September to May, meets every other Tuesday. And if anyone's interested, come to that open house. And here's a promo I made to tell you a little more about it.
Exploring interests me because I want to go into the film business, and it was just a really good opportunity for me to get experience with the cameras and sets and the editing software. It was really nice to use professional equipment compared to what I've been using. I own a Sony Handycam that's 15 years old, so coming onto these cameras, it was just a really nice change.
Exploring interests me because I wanted to get more into the movie business.
We've learned how to use the cameras, how to set up scenes like this. It's beautiful. And how to fix lighting.
We've learned how to do lighting to make sure things look right, white balancing. We played a lot with the shoulder cam this year, so this way we don't get that shaky walking cam thing. It's a lot smoother. I'd say my favorite part of exploring would be the writing, when we get to hear everyone's ideas and how we can do stuff, because some people have some very creative ideas.
My favorite part of exploring was definitely getting to use the equipment and just the experience of having everyone working, I guess. Yeah, I would definitely do Explorers again. I think it was a really, really great opportunity for me, and I had a blast doing it. I would recommend it to everyone that I know that's interested in any kind of media, whether it's radio, TV, movies, photography. You can learn all that stuff when it comes to videotaping.
I would do Exploring again, because I've done this a couple times before, and every time I've done it, I kept learning something new.
Hey everyone, Ted here with TED Talks at SCC, catching you up with all things Suburban Community Channels right here. First things first, an update for all of you regarding submissions for the 2015 SCC Excellence in Community Television Awards. As in previous years, SCC volunteer producers will have the opportunity to submit their program or programs to be considered for one of our awards. The deadline for submissions is Saturday, August 1st, and submission packets will be available starting July 6th. So look out for those at our front desk. Now, the award categories include Technical and Production Excellence, Outstanding Creative, Excellence in Multi-Faith Programming, and Community Involvement. Be sure to read through the submission packets for more details and specifics on how to submit your program. The award show will take place on Thursday, October 1st, so mark your calendars today for this coming fall. Now additionally, our annual volunteer picnic is coming up on August 13th. That's a Thursday. Now we invite all of our wonderful volunteer producers, their families and friends to join us out on SCC's backyard for a fun gathering with food, games, and a special open mic live. Now again, that date is Thursday, August 13th, and it will run from 4 to 7 p.m. Do not miss it. Now lastly, a reminder for those of you who have a 2015 series time slot. It's time to start thinking about the reapplication process for your time slot. The good news is it's all easy and mostly done by SCC staff. You'll receive a reapplication letter in September saying, hey, time to reapply. You sign it, send it back saying, yes, I want my time slot for 2016. Done. Really. Sit by the mailbox in September and make it all happen. Now, as always, if you have any comments or questions, feel free to contact a friendly SCC staff person at 651-747-3830 or stop by the studio. Thanks a lot, and that's all for this edition of TED Talks. I'm Ted, and I'm talking. Done.
And so ultimately what the Film Commission does in any state is it is the one-stop shop for production companies, both in the state as well as outside of the state, who would like to do production in the state of Minnesota. So we're really a service organization. We're a nonprofit organization that is funded by the state, but we are not a state agency. So we also raise money as a nonprofit. And what we do is core production services support. So we help individuals who are looking for locations to shoot their film or their commercial or their television series or program. And so we also assist with the incentive program. We have an incentive program called the Snowbait. And the Snowbait and incentive programs are really the only way major motion pictures come to the state anymore. You know, many of you may be aware or have worked as actors or actresses in programs that have shot in the state. The 90s was a heyday for Minnesota production. It was a different time on a number of different levels, but one thing that it did at that time was about your production crew and your locations and the cost of production. That all changed when incentives came into the picture. Now Hollywood or production in general shoot where they can get the best incentive. Now, that doesn't change production in the state of Minnesota. Production will always be done in the state of Minnesota, and so our organization as well assists individuals who want to know more about, producing and directing in Minnesota or connecting with production. I'm going to show you our website and really kind of take you through each of the aspects of Minnesota Film and TV. And if at any point you have questions, feel free to raise your hand. I will also show you a couple of videos that we have. There we are. Oh, there we go. So Minnesota Film and TV, our tagline is land of 10,000 locations and 25% cash back. These are a variety of location photos that sort of cycle through. One of the things that we're really essentially doing is we're helping sell the state of Minnesota to people who want to come here. Most of the time, and having worked again in cable television, most of the time people, as many of you may or may not know, think we're the flyover state. I mean, and when it comes to the highest level of production in the United States and globally, you have your hubs. You have New York and you have LA, and you have other hubs around the United States as well. But traditionally, we think of production being done in New York and LA. That landscape has changed, and as I indicated, this was a shot I took recently with deer running across the road in the metro. This is here a shot of the High Bridge in St. Paul, and then Lake Country as well. So this is our website. It showcases the locations that we have to offer. If you go here on the drop-down menu, this shows you sort of the content that we have available for local producers as well as producers that are looking at us from out of state. So we have filming in Minnesota, we have incentives, we have a production directory, we have locations, hotline, about Minnesota Film and TV, news and events. I'll just briefly jump through some of these. Filming in Minnesota, this is one of the things that we get a lot of questions asked at our facility is, how do I get a permit? Now, I don't know how many of you in any of your productions so far have had to work at trying to get permits for where you're shooting. Most of you probably have the freedom to go into a location, the racetrack or et cetera, and say, hey, this is what I'm doing, and they give you permission, and then you go in. And that's traditionally how it can be done on a community access level. There really is an engagement and help for that. But if you ever take your camera to the sidewalks of Minneapolis, the thing that is probably best to do is contact the city of Minneapolis to let them know that you're going to be shooting on a sidewalk, because if you're stopped by a police officer, not because you're obstructing justice or you're doing anything bad, but they're going to ask, do you have a permit to shoot here? And as a community access public channel, one might not think, oh, I'm just doing a public access channel. But what we're endeavoring to do as an organization is to remind people that there are actually a set of processes that work to make production as professional as possible. And usually it all comes back down to liability. So liability is the issue, because if you're shooting on public property and someone falls and gets hurt while you're shooting, there are a lot of legal things that you need to think about as well as production. There is the art of it and the joy of it and the community engagement of it and just the freedom to do it. But as a producer, as many, as the Producers Club here, it's understanding what actually the professional steps are to make sure that your production is done properly.
So the last thing that we want to talk about on this episode is our new orientation session and some lighting tips. We've had some producers approach us and say that they would just like some tips and advice on how to do some basic lighting, so we put together a little tutorial video on 3-point lighting, studio lighting, and outdoor lighting.
Yeah, and we also added a new SCC orientation session, which is required for all new producers. And it basically gives you an overlook of everything that is SCC, who we are, how you can get involved, and what your involvement means. So right now, let's check out those videos.
What is SCC?
I can help you with that. Here, let me show you around. SCC is a public access TV station which allows members of the public to take classes and get certified to use our facilities and equipment. We call these people producers.
So all this seems pretty expensive. How much do these classes cost?
Well, we teach basic and advanced classes in camcorder, editing, and studio. The classes are all $10, but afterwards you will be certified and able to use our equipment for free of charge.
That's a really good deal. Is there a catch?
The only thing you cannot use our equipment for is financial gain, and anything that you do use our equipment for must end up on the channels.
This sounds great. How do I get started?
All the fun starts with our free SCC orientation session, where you'll get to tour the building and get to learn everything you need to know about SCC.
Let's start with basic 3-point lighting, which consists of a key light, fill light, and backlight. Take a look at this graphic to get a better idea of how to set up 3-point lighting. The key light and fill light can be swapped if needed, as you'll see in our demo. Just remember, whatever way you want your talent to face, that's where you should position your key light. Start by positioning your key light first. This should be the brightest light on the subject and should light most of their face. Next, position your fill light so it fills in the shadows on the other side of your talent's face. This light should not be as bright as your key light, so you may want to use some diffusion to bring down the intensity. Turn on your backlight last. Try to position it directly behind the talent if possible, but high enough that it will be out of your shot. It should create a nice halo around the talent's head and shoulders, creating depth between them and the background. Once your lighting is set up, don't forget to adjust your white balance and iris to make your shot look great. After you have your 3-point lighting set up, feel free to add additional lights to your background to add more color and dimension. Studio lighting setup is pretty similar to 3-point lighting in the sense that you want to make sure you have some key lights, fill lights, and backlights. Adjust the levels of the lights you want to use until your talent is evenly lit and they stand out from the background. Again, once your 3-point lighting is set up, you can add some background lights if you want. Believe it or not, trying to get good lighting outside can be more tricky than lighting inside, especially on a sunny day. The sun can create harsh shadows, and oftentimes you won't be shooting where you can plug in a light kit. A simple solution is to use a reflector. Position the reflector below your talent so that it reflects sunlight onto them, filling in those harsh shadows. You could also use the gold side of the reflector to add more of a warm color to your subject. If your subject is facing away from the sun, meaning they are backlit, you won't have as harsh of shadows, but you can still use a reflector to add more light to your subject and make them stand out. Another thing you can do outside is add diffusion over your subject. This eliminates any harsh shadows and gives your subject nice, even lighting. However, when you use this method, your background may get blown out when you adjust your iris to make your subject look good. Hope you enjoyed our basic lighting tutorial. If you need any additional help with lighting, see a friendly SCC staff member.
That's all we have for you on this July-August episode of Access SCC. You can learn more about all we have to offer by visiting our website.
Stay up to date with news and events by following SCC on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube.
Sign up for classes and events by visiting the studio or giving us a call. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
The last thing I want to talk about here, we want to talk about, it's not just me. All right.
First things first, an update for first things first, an update for first things first, an update for first things first, an update for.
There it is.
Gosh.
It's hard to get it like the right spot.
Gosh, I'm bad at it.
Yeah.
Bad at this.
All right, so am I.